You know, when I grew up, there were the things called wiretapping laws. It was basically illegal for the government to tap your phone. This is something that authoritarian regimes like to do. The Soviet Union had an absolute fetish to doing this, to the point where it was a joke by saying that the Soviet Union created micro-concrete. When building a house, it was one layer of microphones, one layer of concrete, one layer of microphones, one layer of concrete. So they had like micro-concrete, right? Like the idea that a person is spied on every single moment of the day. And then you can't really have a democracy, right? Because like if you have a place like Britain, where the establishment, like the current government, the Labour Party, considers that anything belonging to the platform of their opposition, like talks about illegal immigration, is not just wrong, but it's like pure terrorist action. People are then more likely to self-censor. Like they can't just have the debates, right? Because like in a normal democracy, people have conversations, they have debates, and then they elect representatives. And based on what the current situation is in the country, based on what people think, like obviously you're going to have a various number of representatives, and that's a democracy. But what they are doing is basically like they're trying to terrorize people from talking about certain subjects. And we noticed during the pandemic, like what happened with people that simply didn't want to get vaccinated, right? Like, were those not supposed to also be represented? Like, were their opinion not valid as a citizen with the right to vote? And the answer was categorically no, right? Like, those people had to be suppressed. And so that's how control can be maintained, right? Like, you're a democracy in name only, but in reality, you don't really fix problems. You just manage opinions. And this is something that a lot of nations have been trying to do for a long time, which is to control the internet. Ever since Donald Trump won in 2016, they didn't really like the result. And so they were focused on trying to police the internet. And they did it initially through terms of service, by, like protecting little girls online from getting bullied, like that type of thing, the social taboo. And if you don't like censorship, then you want little girls getting bullied. Then they did it to fight against racismus. And now, like some people are saying on Twitter, I don't know if it's true or not, but like ever since the whole Gaza-Palestine shit show, they didn't like a lot of opinions that were being pushed. Like a lot of politicians didn't like where the trend is going. So like this is why you need to dox yourself everywhere you go now. I don't know if that's true or not, but like it is definitely something within the realm of possibility. Because like, again, the whole purpose is to make sure that people censor themselves based on topics that politicians don't want people to talk about. Again, like the purpose is managing opinion, not fixing problems. And so now it's all about protecting children, right? And there should be a question at some point. Like, I understand that protecting children is important, of course. But like, are there certain measures that we shouldn't do though? Like for instance, locking everyone up in a maximum security prison. I mean, that will 100% protect children, right? Because like if everyone is locked up and you can't get out of your cell, then obviously you can't harm children. Right? But like, would this be a way to live? Like, would this be a fair and just society? Is this even desirable? Like, you're trading all your liberty for a noble cause, I guess, right? And the problem is, like, some people actually do think that, no, yes, that's a good way to live. I personally don't think it is. And especially because I don't trust the government, especially when you look at places like Britain, where you have lawmakers that voted against an inquiry into grooming gangs, then voting for people doxing themselves. Like, there seems to be something bizarre there, that there seems to be like a glitch in the system. And so now we need to believe that, again, unaccountable bureaucrats, that if they fuck up, they don't get punished, right? Like for instance, if I agree to this and children still get harmed, like no one gets punished, no one has to pay for it, no one gets fired. But I do have to agree to basically allow the government to wiretap me. Because that's what they're doing, right? Like they're wiretapping the population. And the argument is like, well, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Okay, well, can we see the browsing history of every single politician and bureaucrat for the last 6 years? And I want to see it in real time. Because obviously they have nothing to hide, right? So they have nothing to fear. It's not the fact that people have something to hide. It's the very notion that you're assuming everyone is guilty. You're assuming that everyone is doing something. You're assuming that my 75-year-old grandma is sending kitty porn on her phone while talking to my aunt. So you gotta check. Like, you just can't let grandma use her phone. Like, you gotta be there. You gotta see what she's doing. You know, that's the reason people are upset. Is because, like, you're already assuming they're criminals. I mean, what's next, right? Like, if we normalize this and we think this is okay, like, should the cops be able to come into your house to check for drugs? And you're like, well, I'm not a drug dealer. Well, how can they know? So that they should just be able to enter your house, right? Like, frisk everything, search everything, just to make sure that you're not doing something illegal. If it's not drugs, maybe you have guns. Who the fuck knows, right? And not to mention, that they're not going to just look for what they're saying, because, like, if they're there, right? Like, if they're there, might as well look for other thought crimes. Might as well look for disinformation, misinformation, whatever, right? Because, like, we already see how they operated during the pandemic. We already see how they're operating in places like Britain, where mothers are being arrested for social media posts. And here's the problem, right? When they take stuff from your social media, like if they take a couple of paragraphs and they remove it out of context, they don't have to take it to court. Like, all they have to do is to leak it to the press or leak it to the media or, like, pretend a hacker group has found it. And all of a sudden, you look like shit. And you're getting fired and you're getting ostracized. Now, obviously, they're not going to do it to every single person. Like, they don't have enough prisons to arrest people for thought crimes, for hate speech and misinformation and all of that, right? But what they will do is, like, whenever you have a protest, whenever you have, like, an event, like some run against the banks or whatever, they go to the protest leader. And they have access to their entire life. And it's very easy to delegitimize the protest leader then. How do I know that they will do this? Because they're already doing it in China. Like, this is the Chinese system. This is an authoritarian system. This is not a free nation. Again, like, free nations have laws against wiretapping. And so, V, like, what do you plan to do? You know, like, do you plan to allow all these vile images to go online? It's like, I plan for the government to actually have a competent police force that can make a case against someone, go in front of a judge, get a court order, and then do the proper thing that we used to be doing in the West for the last decades or so, right? Like, the current system, I think, is worth it if you want a free society. If you want a free society, you have to give up safetyism. You can't have both. You gotta give up safetyism. You gotta assume that some danger is there. You gotta educate your kids that the internet is actually scary and dangerous. Don't give out your real name. Don't meet people on the internet in real life. You gotta do parenting. You gotta have parental controls. And by the way, you know, this is 2025. Like, the very idea that you can be anything less than an eldritch abomination into your child's life that knows everything they're doing because you have access to so much parental controls and spyware, right? Like, the idea that you can't do that is ridiculous. You don't need the government to do this shit. You don't need corporations to do this shit. You already have the tools. You're literally the guy that buys a device for your kid. You're literally the guy that can install whatever you want on that device so you can know that your kid is safe. You don't need this idea where the government is into your kids' messages, right? The place where you can store your credit card, the place where you can store your ID, and then you have to be sure that this shit doesn't leak, that it never gets hacked, that identity theft doesn't exist. It's awful. Like, no wonder people are against it. And I'm glad that I'm seeing, like, a lot of people are calling this out, and they're not allowing themselves to be emotionally manipulated. Because it's beyond ridiculous. It would imply that we shouldn't make locks unless the government has the key. That if you have, like, a single locked door, the government needs to have a key just to see what's behind that other door. Because, like, what if a crime is being committed? And again, like, if you think that this is okay, then you can't criticize the Soviet Union anymore. You can't criticize Nazi Germany anymore. You can't criticize China anymore. Because, like, well, apparently they were ahead of their time. Like, they were doing stuff that, well, we are now doing in 2025. So, yeah, I hope this doesn't pass. It is beyond ridiculous. And it seems that France, especially, the UK, Australia, and Denmark are at the forefront of this nonsense. It's like, why are you afraid of your people? You know, I don't buy it for a single second that it's about children. I just think like this is a convenient excuse in order to get the criticism to be shut up. No one wants to be viewed as being against this because, oh, well, you're endangering children. Anyone that thinks that this is the only way to protect children and that there is no other way is disingenuous. We had entire generations that grew up like this, and they're fine. I'm actually worried about the generations that won't grow up like this. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you on my live stream. There's a link to that into the pinned comment. Take care.